Hi guys, happy Monday. Today is Monday, May 4th, 2020. It's the first Monday in the month of May. I can't believe how quickly April went. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Right now it's Friday at my house as I'm recording this, but I've heard that it's supposed to be a beautiful weekend. So hopefully we can all get outside and get some sunshine and enjoy some nice weather for a change. I know it's been rainy and kind of gloomy lately, but I'm hoping that we can get outside and enjoy some pretty weather this weekend. This week we're going to talk about graphing, and you guys have done graphs before. We've graphed M&M colors, and we've graphed goldfish, and we've graphed all kinds of things. So you know what a graph is. A graph shows us how we the amount of different objects that we have, and helps us to compare those amounts in one just by looking at it, just by looking at a picture. So here I have a simple bar graph. And this week what we're going to do is we're going to look at some questions that are a little bit trickier than just finding out which object has the most or which object has the least or how many of a certain object there were. So what we're going to look at today is I have my graph here. This graph is called A Dog's Life, and what it's comparing is the different objects in a dog's life. So you can see we graphed how many bowls of food, how many bones, and how many dog collars there were in the graph. Just by looking at the graph without having to even count, we can tell which had the fewest and which had the most. So let's review that real quick. So just by looking at my graph, which object has the fewest amount of boxes? If you said the dog food, you're right. It has 1, 2, 3. It is the shortest bar colored in on our graph, all right? Which one has the most? If you said the dog's bones, that is right, you got it, good job. That shows the highest bar colored, and we can look at it and see that it's higher than the collars and it's higher than the food, which means it has the most. Today what we're gonna look at is we're going to look at when we're asked to compare the amount of different items in our graph. So, for example, sometimes I might be asked, how many more? How many more? And then it'll say, how many more collars than bowls, or how many more red M&Ms than blue M&Ms, right? Anytime we hear those words, that means we're going to be comparing the amounts of two different objects or numbers or colors or whatever we were graphing that day. So for this, if it says how many more collars than bowls, that means I'm going to be looking at the two objects of collars and bowls, all right? These are the two I'm going to be looking at to answer this question, how many more collars than bowls? We already know that there's more collars than there are bowls, but the question's asking us how many more. Anytime you hear the words, how many more, you are going to subtract, okay? There's a key word in there, those three words, how many more, tells us that I'm going to subtract those two items we're looking at. Anytime that I subtract, I'm always going to start with my biggest number. So if I were asked how many more collars than bowls, first I have to decide how many of the most one, which one had the most. So it's collars, and that has 8. So my equation would be 8 minus, because we hear those words, how many more, and then I'm going to look at how many I have on my bowls. 1, 2, goes up to the number 3. So we're going to do 8 minus 3 equals, find your sum for that subtraction problem. You could use your fingers, you could draw a picture. If you've been practicing your math facts a lot, you may already start to know that 8 minus 3 equals 5. 8 minus 3 equals 5, which means there are 5 more collars than there are bowls. You can also find that answer by looking at your graph. I'm at the number 8 with my collars. I'm at the number 3. How many blank boxes are there till I get to the matching number 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 boxes, okay? So that is how we answer for how many more. You may also be asked, how many fewer? We know that word fewer means less, all right? So that means there's a smaller amount somewhere and there's a bigger amount, and it's asking how many fewer are there. So if I were asked how many fewer collars than bones, these are the two objects that I'm going to be comparing. I don't even need the food for this question. How many fewer collars than bones? Well, my smallest number is the collars, right? So this is the fewer number we're looking for here. Just like how many more, anytime you hear that word, how many fewer, you're going to subtract, all right? So my equation would be my biggest number, so if I'm comparing how many fewer collars than bones, I'm going to take my number of bones, which is 9, minus my number of collars, which is 8. So I'm going to do 9 minus 8 equals 1. There's 1 fewer collar than there is bone. If I look at my graph and I count my boxes, I can see there's 1 box between the collars and the bones. So it is 1 fewer, right? You're going to practice that today by doing a graph on some nature items. It's called Nature is Beautiful. So you're going to compare some of the objects on that graph. You also have a story problem today. And if you're looking for a little bit extra, if you want to do some learning about numbers, you can always roll 2 dice, make a 2-digit number. So you could make like a, if you roll a 2 and you roll a 5, you can make it the number 25. And then you're going to write the 2 numbers that come next. So I would write 25, 26, 27. That's just if you're looking for a little bit extra though. The main thing today is to make sure you understand that graph for how many more and how many fewer. Have a happy Monday, and I'll see you on Tuesday.